What's going on, everybody? It's your host of the Morning Beer Podcast, Devereaux Davis. Quick video today. This one is about predictions for the trade deadline, with it fastly approaching on August 2nd, which is roughly around 4 or 5 days from now. Today is Friday, and we're ready to rock and roll. Already yesterday, the Mets made a move, getting Tyler Naquin from Cincinnati for outfield depth, outfield piece. Day before that, Yankees made a bigger move with Andrew Benintendi being traded from the Royals over to the Yankees to be a left-handed bat, potentially, being in that outfield mix over there. So we're gonna go ahead and name. I was going to be the top 15 players potentially being traded. That's being rumored to be traded this trade deadline. But so far, I got 16 names and where they're going to go and where I believe these trades are going to be happening and how they're going to be happening. Let's first acknowledge the tattoo again. It's finally healing up. So it's going to look a little weird while it's healing up. But this is a whole week with it. The Mets tattoo right here. It's been so far. Started off bad, 0-2 with it. We were against San Diego. But then after that, we won 3 in a row. So far with the tattoo, we're 3-2. Let's keep this winning ways going. Let's add some new players to this team. Let's get rid of the J.D. Davises, the Dominic Smiths, and unfortunately, the Travis Jankowskis of the world are going to be bounced off this team for some more viable options in the near future. So let's talk about Tyler Naquin first of all for the Mets and their moves. So far, they got Daniel Vogelbach to be a DH left-handed bat to replace Dominic Smith. He's been on the IL so far. Tyler Naquin, on the other hand, he's more so going to platoon with a canna, be a full outfield option. He's going to be one of those depth pieces. He's going to take over for Jankowski, who's potentially can't be traded. I don't see his value in trade market, but I do see him being released and DFA'd or whatever. And I liked him a lot as a pinch runner, defensive replacement, with Nemo being so good in center field and Marte and Cannon being good options in both sides of the corner. There's no need for him on the team to be a defensive replacement in the later innings. He's more so of a pinch runner, and it's time to move for a better bat. Whenever he starts, he's not really that good of a starter as far as giving you offense. So it's time to see a Tyler Naquin. You don't want to see Jankowski in the lineup, so it's understandable. Unfortunately, he has to go. And with that being said, there's some more moves that could potentially be made for the Mets, and hopefully some bigger moves than the Tyler Naquin, who's going to be a free agent. So he's just a rental. We gave up 2 lower-level prospects, an 18-year-old and more so of a fringe prospect on the lower end in Acuna. So I don't really feel we lost a lot from that. We also picked up a left-handed relief pitcher who's about 28 years old, Philip Deal. He's going to be more so of a depth piece in AAA. He's going to be an option that's going to be come up if need be, if somebody gets injured. Hopefully we don't have to see him, because hopefully nobody else gets injured, knock on wood. But we're going to get to what we came here to see. A lot of y'all might not be Mets fans. Some of y'all might be just other fans that's looking to see what players are going to go to other teams, and if their teams is in the mix for certain players. So we're going to start off with the Washington Nationals and their potential 3 players that they could trade. Josh Bell, Nelson Cruz, and of course Juan Soto. So let's start off with Josh Bell first of all, right? Josh Bell has a lot of suitors. I could see him fall anywhere from St. Louis, San Diego, Houston. Mets was in play, but with them being a National League East team, I don't see Rizzo helping them out. They're going to have to pay the in-the-division tax and give up a lot just for a player that's going to be a rental and is not going to be on the roster potentially after this year. So I don't see them giving up a lot for it. I see the Mets out there running for him. St. Louis, their noses are more so tailored towards Soto. Same thing with San Diego right now. I feel like they want to see what happens with Soto first before they make a move to get Josh Bell. I do see in a perfect world, if Soto wasn't available, that San Diego being a front runner for him and him working well in that lineup, and they need him. Before I answer the Josh Bell question, right, and I believe the domino effect is more so everybody's looking to see what happens with Soto first before they want to hold their prospects, especially the teams in contention for him, want to hold their prospects before they give up prospects for a lesser player and see if they can get Soto instead, right? Same thing goes for the way Washington's going to move. They're going to see if they could get what they could get from for Soto first before they potentially move Josh Bell, if it's more so to a team that's not looking to acquire Juan Soto like a Houston, right? So I want to answer the Soto question first. If the Soto trade was to take place August 2nd or before August 2nd, within this year's trade deadline, I do see him at the end of the day going to either San Diego or St. Louis, because they have the prospects to give up to. They're driven and they need that offensive bat, especially in San Diego. Do I see it happening before August 2nd? Actually, no. I don't see him being moved before the trade deadline. Unfortunately, I see it more so of an off-season trade. So right now I'm going to have, as far as Soto going nowhere August 2nd. I see him being traded in the off-season. Where does he go in the off-season? I see the aggressiveness of San Diego. Don't sleep on LA Dodgers. St. Louis, maybe, but I'm going to give the edge to San Diego. Okay, so Soto going to San Diego, but not now, in the offseason. That's my prediction. Second prediction, now Josh Bell. Where does he go before August 2nd? He has to, because he's going to be a free agent, he has to be traded before he hits free agency. Josh Bell, I see him either going right now, as of August 2nd, consolation prize to San Diego if they don't get Soto. I can see him going to San Diego. Definitely haven't pinned in for that. I feel he moves after the Soto situation is ratified. If he doesn't go to San Diego, I see Houston being in play. But right now, I got Josh Bell going to San Diego on August 2nd. And so far, we're 2 for 2 with San Diego so far. I see him going there as a rental piece and only for just the next 2 months. All right, let's go to Nelson Cruz now. Nelson Cruz is a good DH option. That's all he's going to be for you. He's not having that great of a season. He's going to come on super cheap. Now, I had the Mets being a big option for a big landing spot for Nelson Cruz very cheaply. I could see some other contenders looking at him. I could see a reunion with Minnesota. I could see Cleveland as a cheap, viable option. I could see here a Tampa Bay reunion. Let's think about some more. Baltimore and Toronto, you can forget about it. Let's think about more so now what Milwaukee needs are. They need a bat. They need another bat. I see right now Nelson Cruz going either to, not San Diego, not Dodgers. Let's say he's going to either Milwaukee on the cheap or Cleveland on the cheap. And right now, because Cleveland's still in contention for that Central Division. As far as what's given up for them, is going to be dirt cheap for Nelson Cruz right now. He has no value. Probably going to get the same thing what Tyler Naquan deal was, as far as it being 2 little minor leaguers or whatever. So I could see a Milwaukee or Cleveland pulling that trade. You can flip a coin on that one, whoever he goes to. I do see him playing well, and I you know what? Let's, at the end of the day, let's call it Milwaukee. They're more driven to make that splash. So I have Nelson Cruz going to Milwaukee, Josh Bell San Diego, and Juan Soto going to San Diego in the offseason. All right, let's move on to the Chicago Cubs. They got Contreras, Robinson, and Happ now. Okay. Let's think about the teams that actually need a catcher / DH or just a DH alone, right, for Contreras is concerned, right? You got to have Robinson available for everybody. Now, do they get more out of packaging a Contreras and a Robinson? Potentially, yes. Do they get more doing the Ian Happ and Robinson deal? Yes. Do they do a package, or do they do them individually? I more so see a package deal, and I do see Contreras and Robinson at the end of the day being a New York Mets target. Um, let's think about the teams that could use a Contreras. Let's say no to Yankees, no to Toronto, no to Baltimore and Tampa Bay. Maybe Tampa Bay because Zeno's hurt. But will they give up the prospects for a rental? Will they give up the players for a rental? They're not going to re-sign him. The Mets have a better chance to re-sign Contreras if need be and platoon him with Francisco Alvarez, the top prospect in baseball. Have them DH and switch him between DH and catcher. But I don't think really signability is the concern here for certain teams. Let's go on to Central. Is there anybody in the AL Central needing this? Cleveland? No. Minnesota? No. And Chicago White Sox, no. Let's go on to the West. Houston, yes. If they want to get that bat to potentially put Maldonado as a backup catcher, will they do that? Catcher being a tricky position to bring in the middle of the season, will they make that trade? Houston, I don't think so. Seattle, no. Philly and Atlanta, no. Atlanta could bring him in to play with his brother, but that's not really a need. I like how everybody has them as a package deal, and I just feel it just makes so much sense for the Mets. Milwaukee and St. Louis, no. Dodgers and San Diego, no. San Diego maybe, but they're going to get Josh Bell, so I think I'm seeing no. I don't see trade talks between them. I see them just fully talking about Washington. So let's go ahead and pencil them in for the Mets. I can see a Mauricio going. I got him going to New York along with Robinson. Ian Happ now. I think he would have been a great fit in San Diego. Look out for the Dodgers on that one. Look out for Milwaukee on that one. Let's go ahead and think about where else he can land. Atlanta, Philly, if Harper is still on the mend, they need that, versatility and let's go ahead. I think Philly had to focus more on pitching, and Syndergaard is probably somebody up their alley, but we'll get to that. Ian Happ now. Ian Happ. I had Yankees till they traded for Benintendi, so I don't see Yankees no more as being an option. I can see Toronto being an option there. Ian Happ doesn't really have, I could say, he just screams Dodgers to me right now. Let's go ahead and put him with the Dodgers, even though I could see Milwaukee needing to make this trade more than anybody else. All right, they got Nelson Cruz, but I could see Milwaukee needing that Ian Happ type of player in their playoff run if they want to compete with the Metses and the San Diegos and the LA Dodgers in this playoffs, as the playoffs are concerned. If the Ian Happ going to Chicago, coming from Chicago to Milwaukee, do I see St. Louis being an option? They're going to have to play that interdivision tax. And do the Braves need him? Do the Braves? Do you see a world with him at the Braves? Not right now. Some strange reason, I believe that Dodgers, and I'm going to pencil Ian Happ to the Dodgers. All right, let's go to Luis Castillo, and he has a big market now. Yankees coming to play here. Toronto, in my opinion, Mini, no. Chicago, no. We're talking about White Sox. Philly could be big here. Could be upset here. There could be that big splash. Let's go ahead and think more. Think. Dodgers, for some strange reason, they have the players to get him as far as prospects are concerned. They already got Ian Happ, in my opinion. For Castillo, this is, I think, a Yankees play. San Diego, no. If Castillo is finally moved, which it took him forever to make this move, I could see it going the way of... I could see him going to the Yankees. The New York Yankees, who just got swept by my Mets this week. So, yep, that's another big move. I could see them. I could see that being almost not a knee-jerk reaction to that sweep. Like, all right, make a huge move, get a pitcher. All right, let's go to Cincinnati. Also still has Brandon Drury, and the Yankees going to have to give up a haul to get Castillo. He's still controllable. They're going to have to give up a lot to get him, and they do have the prospects. Or they're going to give up a Volpe, or they're going to give up a Dominguez. You know, you got to think about these. They got pitchers down there. Or they're going to give up these players for him. That's what pretty much Cincinnati's going to ask for. And if you make a package around Volpe, because Cincinnati starred for a shortstop for the last few years, they got Matt Reynolds, who is a former Mets prospect, playing shortstop. I could see them making that move. Brandon Drury now. With the Mets making the moves that they made, I could see him being in a platoon with Vogelbach, being the right-handed option, as Vogelbach is left-handed. I could see him going to Mets on a cheaper price than what Mets would have had to pay for a J.D. Martinez or Trey Mancini. I feel like it screams the Mets as the favorite, and now I kind of see more so a Brandon Drury going to potentially Milwaukee too. He could play well in Houston. I could think he's an option in Houston. I think his market is bigger than a lot of people because of his versatility. He played third, first, DH. Last year he played on the Mets. He was an infielder, played second base, played the corner outfield if need be. Do I see him going to the Mets? I see him as a perfect fit for the Mets. Will it happen? I think it would have happened if it did, because we already made a trade with Cincinnati for Tyler Naquin. Because that either tells me that he was asking for too much for Drury, and the Mets was like, no, and they moved on and they went with Naquin. So I could see him going to a Houston. I could see him going to Milwaukee. Do I see Minnesota coming to play here? Potentially, yes. Do I see Toronto? Yes. Cleveland? No. Philly? No. Atlanta? Atlanta? Not really. They don't need him. And I could see a San Diego. He has a big market. Brandon Drury probably has the most difficult place to tell, because now the Mets are not really number one in that no more. Let's go ahead and mark him down. I want to say Houston, San Diego, Milwaukee. So this screams, I think that division tax is too big for Milwaukee. This screams Houston or Slam Diego. And I'm going with, Houston and Toronto. And I'm going with Houston. He's a Texas boy, I think, Drury, Brandon. I think he's from Texas. CJ Cron now, we're going to Colorado. Do I see CJ Cron being traded? I don't think he has that big of a market. If he does, Houston's in play here, Milwaukee's in play. I know I'm naming the same names, but these are teams that's in contention. I think that's actually going to make moves. I feel like Colorado's going to do what they did last year with Trevor Story and stay pat. I feel like CJ Cron's market is not picked up. It might pick up late on Tuesday to 6 p.m. It might pick up at the very end. Mets could be a big player for him at the very end if things fall through and they're not able to get players that they wanted. They're not able to get the Conspiracies, the JD Martinez's, the Mancinis. I could see CJ Cron as a fallback and him coming to play late on Tuesday night. But as for now, I don't think he's being traded. And I have him not being traded. I have him just standing pat and Colorado not trading him. Moving on to JD Martinez, going to Boston. JD Martinez screams Dodgers. Backup plan Mets. I see Houston here too. This is a rental. You're not getting JD Martinez unless you resign him. And that's going to be for a big contract. He's still 34. He's still raking. Let's pencil him in for the Dodgers. Even though I could see him getting Ian Happ, I could also see him getting JD Martinez. I don't think that would be too far-fetched. I don't think that would be detriment to them if they go ahead and got the two players. I think it would help bolster that lineup up a lot. So let's pencil him for the Dodgers. If not, the Mets are fully will make sense here. They could trade a Dom Smith, who Boston's very intrigued with. I'm saying his name right. Chaim Bloom, the GM for Boston, is infatuated with Dominic Smith in a way to as a cheap reclamation project. I could see us trading JD Martinez for Dominic Smith right there, and maybe a player or two going from the Mets with Dominic Smith. Trey Mancini now, his market, I think they're trying to package him with same thing like Chicago, Contreras and Robinson. They're trying to package him with Jorge Lopez, and that would bring a big haul back for you. That would bring a nice haul as far as prospects are concerned, or players that could play currently on your major league roster. It's screaming Mets to me again. But you can't have them make two trades like this. You can't have they won't have the prospect capital. They won't have a farm system no more if they make two trades like this. So if they do the Contreras Robinson, they're not doing Mancini Lopez, or they might just do Mancini by itself. The team that I see that's going after Mancini the hardest is the Mets. A team that could potentially use him is also Houston, also Milwaukee. I don't see Dodgers here. San Diego might come in late, pull off that trade if they don't do the Josh Bell thing. Let's hold off on that thought real quick. So as far as Trey Mancini is concerned, I see two potential trades for him that could take place. Of course, the main one that everybody's talking about is New York Mets. If New York Mets don't get him, San Diego Padres will. I could see him put him in left field. I could see him, or even at first base server. But if you're already going to get Josh Bell, you're already going to have him at first base. He could be sliding as a DH. It work perfect there. Probably going to have Tatis when he comes back DH a little bit till he gets his feet wet. But I could see Mancini either going to the New York Mets or San Diego Padres. End of the day, I see New York Mets making that trade. They're a little bit more infatuated with him than other teams, so I can see that happening with the New York Mets. As far as it being a Jorge Lopez and Mancini trade, no. I see actually Jorge Lopez going to the Dodgers, being in that bullpen, blustering that bullpen a little bit more. Excuse me, a little bit tired. Wow. Making that bullpen a little bit more. Potentially being a fallback plan if Kimbrel falters a little bit. I can see a Jorge Lopez being a good option for the Dodgers and them getting up a few prospects in order to get him because he's young. He's about 30 years old, controllable, very good all-star season this year, being a good option there for Kimbrel. Now, as far as Andrew Chafin from Detroit is concerned, this is an interesting one. Do Blue Jays finally make a trade here? Braves could fall into play here. And then there I could see the Blue Jays getting left-handed in that bullpen. Chafin's more their speed. I could see him going with Chafin to help them in the with the Yankees now getting Benintendi to offset that type of matchup right there, and put a left-handed pitcher to pitch a player like that. Michael Fulmer now. Michael Fulmer, I could see him playing well in the Braves bullpen, in the back end of that bullpen, being a setup guy for Jensen, playing with those arms over there. I could see him being a good option. I would love him on the Mets. I would love Chafin on the Mets. I'm sorry. I would also like stop yawning. That's another thing. I'm so tired today. Did good for the first half of the video. Now I'm like getting a little bit tired here. I can see Fulmer being a Braves option, a top option for the Braves. I could see him landing there. So Fulmer to the Braves. Mark that down. Now Frankie Montas. Now this is the pitching market. This is where we're talking about the Padres. We're talking about Yankees. If they don't get Castillo, we're talking about the Minnesota Twins. We're talking about the teams that could actually use him. But at the end, and the Toronto Blue Jays too, and plays good in this one. I think Toronto learned their lesson in giving up top prospects for Berrios that they did last year with Minnesota. This year, I could see Minnesota turning around, flipping that same guy and getting a Montas. Yep, I see Montas going to the Twins in that trade right there, and he'll be great as far as being a front end starter for them. All right, Shohei Ohtani in Anaheim. Does he go anywhere this year? Does he go to the Mets? Can anybody else afford him right now? I don't believe he's being traded at the trade deadline. Once again, this is a Juan Soto situation. I see it more so they get more prospects for him if they wait towards the postseason, towards the off season, and go ahead and ship Ohtani to my New York Mets. I feel he's more so of a catch that the New York Mets would get than a Juan Soto, because Juan Soto is an interdivisional player. We're just not going to work out to the point where we're going to get him. Shohei Ohtani, two-way player, all-star, put him in Flushing and Queens. Reunite him with Billy Epler again, his GM in Anaheim, now his GM in New York. I can see that happen. I can see him a Francisco Alvarez potentially being traded, maybe a Brett Beatty, and I can see that happening, but more so off season than mid season. Noah Syndergaard now, and this is our last person. We did 17 players so far, and where they going. Let's mark that down, pencil it down for the Philadelphia Phillies. He's going to be a rental. He's going to be in the middle of that third starter behind Wheeler and Nola. I see him playing well in the postseason as far as him being a power arm, being a big arm that they could use, potentially come out the bullpen if necessary in the short series. And I can see Noah Syndergaard, and they don't really have to give up so much for him. They could give up a few players, but it doesn't have to be a lot of high-end prospects. They could still save on their prospects, and I see him working well in Philadelphia. That was my list of 17 players potentially where they could go, my predictions for this year's trade deadline and beyond. And let me know what you think. Let me know what's accurate. Let's look back at this maybe after trade deadline, see how accurate this was. We're going to recap everything again. Josh Bell to San Diego, Nelson Cruz to Milwaukee, Juan Soto not being traded this trade deadline, but being traded in the offseason, and he's going to San Diego. Contreras to the Mets, David Robinson to the Mets, Ian Happ to the Dodgers, Luis Castillo. It's getting dark in here. It's going to rain soon. I'm using natural light. I'm not using none of my ring lights. Luis Castillo to the Yankees, Brandon Drury to Houston, CJ Cron not being traded at all. I think Colorado's going to do the same thing they did last year with Trevor Story. JD Martinez to the Dodgers, Mancini to the Mets, Jorge Lopez to the Dodgers, Chafin to the Blue Jays, Michael Fulmer to the Braves, Frankie Montas to the Twins, Shohei Ohtani not being traded this trade deadline, but being traded in the offseason to the Mets, and Noah Syndergaard to Philadelphia Phillies. With it being dark now and again, darker outside, I guess it's going to rain. I'm going to end this video now. I'm your host of the Morning Beer Podcast. Please let me know what you think about this video and my predictions. Please like, subscribe, share, and tell a friend. Talk to you later. Peace. Oh, by the way, let's go Mets. Peace.